Hey y'all, it's Farmer MeeMaw, and today I'm going to show you how I have finally figured out a way to make keto-friendly oatmeal using riced cauliflower. I know this looks like a lot of ingredients, but it's really not. Only about 4 or 5 of them are actually oatmeal ingredients, which is about how many ingredients I use in regular oatmeal anyway. The rest are kind of flavorings or things that you can leave out. I'm going to show you first kind of the base that I use, and then you can just add whatever you want to and make it your own. But the key is going to be the cauliflower. I mean, this is an oatmeal that will actually fool someone into thinking it really is oatmeal if they don't know that it's cauliflower. The first thing that I did was I actually have already microwaved this steam bag of rice cauliflower. I usually cook it stovetop, but I wanted this to be a quicker and easier version, and so I just steamed it ahead of time. You can steam it, you can cook it on your stovetop, and I should have probably turned on the fire under my pan. Alright, so we're just going to let this melt a little bit, and I really don't have to because the goal is just to add a little bit of butter to the cauliflower, because y'all know, don't you put butter in your oatmeal? I mean, it is part of the yumminess of oatmeal. And I'm going to put in, isn't that gorgeous, y'all? And I actually get this riced cauliflower. It's a 12-ounce bag. I get them from Sam's Club. So now at this point, I am just going to stir in that butter, give that butter some time to melt, and cook your cauliflower to the consistency that you like when you're eating oatmeal. Like if you like it mushy, cook it a lot. Okay. Now, I'm just going to let this continue to heat up and cook. So, we're going to go ahead and start adding our ingredients. The first one is I add nut milk. This one is unsweetened and vanilla. It doesn't have to be vanilla, but vanilla is not going to hurt because my oatmeal is going to be kind of sweet. And so I'm just going to add some nut milk as this is cooking. Now I wouldn't add this at the beginning. I would wait until the cauliflower has gotten to the consistency that you want it before I would add it, okay? And so I'm just going to add it now, stir it around, and it's going to add a little bit of creaminess. It's also going to give us some moisture because that's what we're going to need to kind of make it the consistency that we want it. Okay. I should have, I'm going to add a little more, and I honestly don't measure. It's one of those things that you just eyeball. How wet do you like your oatmeal? How, thick do you like it? Now, if I were going to be making something with like dried fruit, I would actually add my dried fruit now so that it can plump up with this liquid. That's just the way I like to do it. I do the same thing whenever I make real oatmeal. When I'm boiling my water, I will add like cranberries and raisins to it to kind of plump it up. Oh, and I forgot to get my spices out, y'all. I'm going to turn this fire down a little bit now since it's heated through. And I'm actually going to make a batch with cranberries. Now, this isn't one of the main ingredients, but I'm going to add them now. Okay, I'm just going to throw in some cranberries in there. This is going to make several what do you call them? Servings. But this is the first step. I'm going to add these so they can plump up. I might give them a little while to cook, but I'm good with that right now. Now, the next actual ingredient when you're making this feel and taste like oatmeal, the next thing is going to be flaxseed meal, not whole seeds. You want the meal. Let me grab my measuring thing. Okay, and I honestly don't know how much I usually add of this, but we're going to start out with like maybe 2 tablespoons of this. Woo! A little bit of that went out. Anyway, okay. And this is actually going to just suck up that almond milk right away. So it's going to be pretty dry pretty quickly after I add this. Okay, so far the ingredients have been cauliflower, flaxseed, and almond milk. You'll see how it's starting to dry up a little bit from that. Okay, now that's all I'm going to add of that. And the next thing that's going to help with your texture, that is, I would say, one of the main ingredients of this is going to be hemp seeds or hemp hearts. I actually got this a while back, and I had a whole container of hemp hearts, and I'm going to put about a handful. Maybe a handful and a little more. Okay, that's how much I usually put in it. But I bought a whole container of it, and I just ran out. And luckily, I found that in the closet I found that in the cabinet. Okay, now see, it's starting to look like oatmeal. It's going to have some texture like oatmeal, but look, it's kind of dry. And so I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna add some more almond milk. I'm sorry this isn't precise, but that's just the way I cook, y'all. And most people, when they're making oatmeal, you know, it's just one of those things you kind of eyeball. Okay, so it's getting it back moist again. And here's the deal. One of my main ingredients is almond butter. And when you put almond butter in, it's going to tighten up again. And so I'm going to add a little more. I wish I could tell y'all how much I add. I know it's quite a bit. But this is actually, keep in mind, this is going to make several, at least 4, if not maybe up to 6 servings, because I've noticed I was making 4 servings out of it. I think 4. And it is so filling because it has all of this fiber and all this yumminess that I couldn't eat it all, or I was starting to get full before I finished. And so I figure I'll cut back on the size of my servings now, because it's a lot more filling even than regular oatmeal, I have found. I mean, I could just keep going back for bowl after bowl of oatmeal. And this is just like, oh my goodness, I'm stuffed. So one of the other things before I would add that, one thing that I add, and this is more just for the health benefits than for the texture, but it's in a lot of overnight oats. And so if you like overnight oats, this is really good because it is also really good cold. I usually just get one of these containers out that I put them in. I'll get a serving out of the fridge, and I will just eat it cold. I've never heated it up. You could heat it up in the microwave or on the stove. You might want to add a little more liquid to it, maybe, depending on how you like it. But I like chia seeds. I don't know if I called those hemp seeds earlier. I like chia seeds in my oatmeal, and so I'm going to go ahead and add those now. And it looks like it's going to be okay to add the peanut butter. But you see how thick it is already? I'm gonna add a little more milk. Again, I'm just eyeballing it, and this is gonna make several servings. And so, you know, usually when I make oatmeal, I only make 1 serving at a time, or a couple. I mean, but we eat it all at once. We don't store it in the fridge generally, unless I'm making overnight oats. Okay, so there's that. And now I'm gonna go ahead and add my almond butter. Woo! Add my almond butter, and this is like natural almond butter. And here's the deal, like there are certain times when women my age going through the thing I'm going through right now, they should eat during certain days. They should eat to help progesterone, and some of the foods that help promote the production of that is nuts, which I have almond butter. And y'all, I consider almond butter a basic part of this recipe because anything tastes good with almond butter. I've made it with peaches with almond butter. I've made it with cranberries and raisins with almond butter. You can pretty much add anything with almond butter and it's going to taste good. If you don't think almond butter would taste right, but I do feel like it helps with the creaminess of the texture, and just it's delicious, y'all. So I add almond butter to this. Okay, now because I like a lot of stuff in my oatmeal, I am going to add some other things as well. And here's the deal, all of this is going to help with texture as well, but it also helps with the production of the progesterone, y'all. Cauliflower is good for that. Berries, and you could put any kind of berry in this, but I've put cranberries. Nuts, I have nuts in there. And then sunflower seeds, and I'm about to put some sunflower seeds in there. About yay much. That's how I measure, y'all. Maybe yay a little more. Okay. And then nuts are good, like I mentioned before. And not only am I putting almond butter, I'm also putting walnuts. Walnuts are actually particularly good for women of my age, or stage, I guess, is more of a stage than an age. And so I'm going to add in this, and of course I'm going to add in, ooh, y'all, as that's heating up, I can really smell that almond butter. So good. Okay, so now I want to turn my fire down a little bit more. You know, and the cauliflower continues to cook, so if it wasn't quite ready before, it should be ready. I'm going to add about a handful of unsweetened, and this is organic, unsweetened coconut flour, not coconut flour, coconut flakes, or shredded coconut. No, it says flakes. Anyway, so about yay much. And it's going to help with texture and flavor a little bit, but mostly really texture. A lot of this is about the texture of oatmeal. And again, you can flavor it as long as you flavor it the way you flavor your oatmeal. It's going to taste like oatmeal after you've added those basic ingredients, which I consider to be the cauliflower, the almond milk, the hemp seeds, and flaxseed. You want the flaxseed to thicken it up, and the almond butter too. Because like I said, that almond butter adds a little bit of creaminess, and as you can see, I mean, it's chunky at this point. Okay, let's see here. Have I added all my ingredients? I have added, finally added everything except probably two of the most important ingredients, and I'll tell you what I usually do. Before I eat it, I actually, let me put bigger salt. I usually actually sprinkle salt on top of it, just because I guess cauliflower is a lot like potatoes in that it sucks up the salt. It needs a lot of salt to really flavor it. But I add salt whenever I'm making it, but then I do go back and I will add salt as I'm eating it because it just brings out the flavor. If you don't think you like oatmeal, add salt to it. And a little sugar or sweetener, which brings me to sweetener, and I add just a little bit because it just kicks up the flavor. I don't know how much this is. I think it's more than a tablespoon, and it's the measure that I put in here, but I think it actually is the measurement for some collagen or something like that I've had in the past. So I sweeten it a little bit, and it does look like it's a little thick. So I'm going to add just a touch, just to loosen it up a little bit. I'm continuing to cook it. And so, you know, if you wanted to add, after it's ready like this, if you want to add something like peaches or strawberries, again, all that would be good. And berries are some of those things. Pumpkin, if you have some canned pumpkin and you're like, what can I do with this canned pumpkin? Maybe you only used part of the can and now you need to do something instead of throw it out. Add it to some oatmeal. And also, almost forgot some of the things that I really, really, really like to add to bump up the flavor. And you can use any of your favorite spices. You could put pumpkin pie spice in this. With your pumpkin, you could put just pumpkin pie spice by itself in this. I love to add cinnamon in all of my oatmeal. I always add cinnamon and clove. Y'all, I'm obsessed with cloves. I even tasted the other day. I mixed clove and sweetener together like you would to make cinnamon sugar. And I made like clove sugar. And it was so good. Okay, I'm just going to stick my finger in here, y'all, because I like a lot of clove. And it's not coming out of that sprinkler fast enough. But yeah, this is, and this was, I thought, a really good price for organic clove. Got it from Walmart. So yeah, I add clove and cinnamon. And again, if you don't like oatmeal, you've probably just not had it cooked properly. You didn't have enough salt. Maybe it needed a little sugar, because a lot of people think oatmeal is bland. But if you add some of your favorite spices, you could make oatmeal taste like, you could put like shredded carrots in it and the spices and maybe some cream cheese. Or you could add cream cheese in it with your strawberries and almost have like a strawberry cheesecake oatmeal. You can make put shredded carrots in there and make a carrot cake oatmeal. A lot of people add brown sugar, and there are keto versions of brown sugar, but they tend to be expensive, and y'all know me, I don't spend a lot of money if I don't have to. So anyway, that is all there is to it. And I mean, you can add whatever you want, nutmeg, whatever kind of spices you want, and you could probably even do a savory version with like maple syrup or a like a sugar-free pancake syrup. But if you're more of a paleo person, then maple syrup. Just think of your favorite. You could add cocoa powder and make it a chocolate almond butter, which tastes, the almond butter honestly tastes like peanut butter to me. And so you could add cocoa to it and make kind of a chocolate peanut butter. And it's, y'all, it's so good. So that's it. That is the recipe, and I am just going to put these in my containers and put them in, let them cool off first, and then put them in the fridge. And there you go, y'all. Look at it. Now, and I guess, let me taste it. Let me use one of these spoons. Let me see if it's good, because I might just need to add more salt or sweetener to it. Whoops. That's really good. There's a lot of texture, but it does. I know some of y'all are having a cow about me putting so much salt in it. Again, it's going to be divided into servings, and so it's not going to be that much. But I do love salt. I eat a lot of salt. Salt doesn't bother me. So yeah. And I do think it might need a touch more of the sweetener. And this is like a 0 calorie. It's pure, which is erythritol and stevia blended together. Maybe a little more sweetener. And just to make it easier to put in the container, I'm going to add a little more milk again. Again, if you like it this chunky, leave it like it is. If you want it a little runnier, smoother, maybe you want it to flatten out when you stir it and not stay in big chunks, you just add however much makes you happy. Excuse me. And I do believe that that right there is what is going to make me happy. Now, when you put this in a container, what you might want to do is put it in the container and put it in a container that's large enough that you have room to put stuff on top. Maybe you want to put berries on top, or maybe you want to sprinkle some nuts on top. Instead of adding the nuts in, you may want to add them, put them on top of some of them. You may want to make some with nuts and some without nuts. And so just sprinkle them on the top after you've separated them into the containers. But there you have it, y'all. And I promise you, it tastes like oatmeal. So, alright. Well, should I taste it again? Just to be sure it's sweet. And on that note, yep, it tastes more like oatmeal now. I may have added a little bit too much in the nut department as far as like walnuts, because the texture is pretty crunchy from the walnuts and the sunflower seeds. So if you don't like a lot of nuts, don't add a lot of nuts. I personally like the chunkiness. So there you go. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy this oatmeal. If you're missing oatmeal like I was, you're going to be happy with this. I will talk to y'all soon. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and I'll just see you later. Bye, y'all.